All right, here we are. We are back. It is Monday, March 9th, 2026, as we talk about this week in WWE a little bit late. I was on a bit of a vacation for the last several days, so which is why our schedule and posting have been a little bit off. But I'm back, and I hope everyone's doing well, and we'll go over a bit of an abbreviated review this week as I try to get my head back on straight and get back into the routine. We are going to go over as much as we can of SmackDown, and I know there are an email or two that are still outstanding from this week, so we will get to those as well. We want to make sure we give you guys a voice here, and that's what we're going to do. All right, well, we're not going to mess around. Since we don't have much time, I'll give you some thoughts here. First and foremost, Cody Rhodes winning the Undisputed Championship from Drew McIntyre. His reign ends at 56 days or something along those lines. And I have, believe it or not, mixed feelings on this, but a little slanted towards one side. So the match itself, I mean, that doesn't really matter. The quality of the match doesn't matter. It's all about the outcome in this case, with Drew dropping the championship to Cody Rhodes. Drew doesn't even get 2 months as champion. After all the teases and quick short runs, we get a 56-day run. It's almost inexcusable. And what is worse is when you look at the fact that Cody Rhodes lost the Royal Rumble, he lost the Elimination Chamber, and yet he is still main eventing WrestleMania. It's a disgrace. And I feel for Drew again. Now, we don't know Drew's plans yet. Drew could certainly still be a part of this match. And it could be Cody versus Drew versus Randy. But we are now at the point, the tipping point, if WWE doesn't already see it, where Cody Rhodes is on the verge of the fans turning against him because they are tired of him now in the main event. There was no issue with Drew as champion. He felt and looked like a champion from day one. The ratings even showed that as well. The ratings have actually gone up since Drew has been champion. Now, that could be in part attributed to just the time of year that it's WrestleMania season and more people tend to tune in. But there have been no negative metrics that I'm aware of for them to change from Drew to Cody this close to WrestleMania. And if the idea here is to put Drew in some secondary match, not put him as part of the main event, and keep it Cody Randy, it's a damn disgrace. It's, as a fan of just pro wrestling, even if you don't like Drew's character, it's really hard to make a case for Cody once again to be in a championship match at WrestleMania again. And I understand Cody's a big star. He's one of the bigger baby faces that WWE has, although I would say right now that his support from fans is starting to dwindle. And if the idea is we're going to turn Cody heel at WrestleMania, having him retain the championship against Randy Orton in some underhanded fashion, then perhaps this is worth it. But I guess I'm a little bit on the edge here too, because we all know Cody and Randy has been a matchup that we've been waiting for a while. It is WrestleMania worthy, but it didn't have to happen at WrestleMania. And also you have both of these men as baby faces, whereas if Randy were to turn or Cody were to turn, it would be, I think, a more fun build-up. If you had a traditional Randy Orton heel turn, which has happened so many times, you could just pretty much plan on it happening at this point, that version of Randy Orton is a much more interesting version of Randy than the babyface version. And the build would be, I think, more fun. And you could have that match, but it feels like they are pushing this match forward, knowing that they had this in their pocket and they're deciding to use it without, I think, the proper role build. If this is just kind of a gentleman's handshake, hey, may the best man win build to WrestleMania, this is going to, I shouldn't say suck. It'll be underwhelming to say the least, because you have one of the deepest backstories of any pairing in WWE that hasn't happened yet. Maybe the single deepest story that has not happened yet is Cody Randy. And I think one of them being, particularly Randy, in this case, if you wanted to do it, having him play the heel would be a fun build to WrestleMania. But if they're going to go forward, and they are going forward with this, and say Drew is not included, and it's just Cody Rhodes going into WrestleMania and retaining, or Randy, or I mean, honestly, it doesn't matter who wins this match from the perspective of, was it worth it? Because, okay, Cody retains. Like, who cares? Cody as champion is objectively he's just not an interesting champion. If Randy wins, cool. You know, he gets his 14th or 15th, whatever it is, and Randy Orton's champion again. And he's obviously deserving of it. And he's a legend right now in the business, and a living legend. All that's true. But at what expense are we doing this? Because Drew McIntyre, while he is the future, we can agree, he's probably on the backside of his career, in his prime, but starting to, I think, come off the prime a little bit, if that makes sense. But more than enough where you could still build on him for several years to come. And you're going to forego a guy like Drew being in the main event, walking in as champion, for two guys that, no matter the outcome, even if one of them turns heel or doesn't, it doesn't, I think, make the case stronger to push Drew out. Meaning this is still a net loss to me. With Drew in the position he's at, the fans are going to sniff this out as WWE screwing Drew over again. And the fans, I think, are going to get behind Drew McIntyre. He is going to be on SmackDown next week, furious. He's going to be, I think, tearing stuff up. Do I ultimately think it'll be Drew versus Cody versus Randy? I honestly don't know. Because if that was the case, why would you make Cody champion? Why wouldn't you have just had this match be some kind of DQ, and then it's triple threat? I mean, that's how they traditionally put their matches, triple threat matches and multi-person matches together, is the match that's a championship match on Raw or SmackDown ends in some kind of faloozy way. And then it's like, okay, you want to mess around? Guess what? It's triple threat, or it's a fatal four-way, whatever the case is. And that's how you get to it. So there was no need, unless they were actually going to go to Randy Cody one-on-one at WrestleMania, there was really no need to have Cody win. So that kind of tells me Drew may in fact be out of the championship match at WrestleMania. Otherwise, what are you gaining by ending Drew's title reign only to put him in the title match anyway? Why wouldn't you just have him go into WrestleMania as champion? And if you want the triple threat, you can get the triple threat of Randy, Cody, and Drew. So it seems to me, I mean, they could do Drew and Jacob Fatu at WrestleMania, which is, you talk about a fall from grace. They could do Drew versus Brock at WrestleMania, although I don't have any interest in that either. They could do Drew versus Obafemi. There's a lot of things they could do with Drew, but none of them are, I think, enough for WWE to justify what they've done here to Drew. And this is going to, I think it's going to turn Drew babyface. I mean, the fans are looking at this. There's hundreds of thousands of dislikes on the Cody Rhodes victory here on YouTube. And there should be. Cody doesn't need it. It feels like he's just perennially a champion. He feels like the Charlotte Flair now of the men's division, where fans are just, I think, tired of seeing Cody with the belt. The chase is no longer fun. That whole let's finish the story is long gone. This, to me, is going to turn the fans. This is the turning point. And if their intent is to keep Cody in his role with fan support, I think there's a big misunderstanding in creative right now. A huge. And they can try. And there are a certain subset of fans, I don't think, that will turn on Cody. But if the idea is to keep both men the same and try to make Cody whole coming out of this and he beats Randy clean at WrestleMania, then good luck. Good luck. Perhaps they're leaning on the fact of the depth of Randy and Cody, and it is insanely deep, and there's a lot of footage they can create. But this is, I don't think, how a lot of us wanted this match to happen. We wanted one of the men to turn, so there's a clear-cut fan favorite here, and there's really not. I would argue Randy is the fan favorite, but we're all waiting for that shoe to drop because of what we've seen from Randy over the last 20 years. We know how his character is. It's an RKO, and suddenly he's a heel again. But in this case, I'd be very weary if I were the company. If they think that the crowd isn't going to boo Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania, it's not looking good for that possibility. So those are my opening thoughts. I have to talk about that off the bat because I don't think I'm going to get to everything on the show here of SmackDown. If you want the full SmackDown review, Amanda from the UK, of course, can deliver that and has delivered that for you on the feed here. All right. The other thing I want to talk about, and I have been trying to formulate the words for this over the last several days. Even on my vacation, I've been keeping up with what's been going on. Danhausen. Now, he is doing, I think, as good as you could expect a character like this to do based on his horrific debut at the Chamber. That was, and I stand by everything I said. It was embarrassing, horrific, cartoonish. Pick your adjective. It was just horrible, horrible. And I stand by that, especially if you have not seen Danhausen before. And I hadn't. I admittedly, I had no idea who he was. I looked at him, I go, who is this moron, right? But I will say, and I had said this in my last show, I recall, before I left, that I hope I'm wrong about him. And I was very harsh with my criticism of him. Very. On a video I put up on some social media accounts and on my original Elimination Chamber review. Horrifically rough on him. And I said I don't even want to give him a chance. He doesn't deserve a chance. But I had said also I hope I'm wrong because I want to see him succeed. Maybe it'll work. And I gave all the reasons why I wouldn't. And I still think his entrances are cartoonish and silly and just, it's embarrassing. However, the backstage segments that he's been doing with Adam Pearce and with Nick Aldis and now The Miz as his mentor show some promise. And I said, if he is going to be successful, he has to go all in on this. And his character, he seems all in. And he's had some humorous lines with his demands and his crumpled up pieces of paper and the Danhausens, Demandhausens rather, and all the things he's been saying to Nick Aldis and The Miz and now, of course, Adam Pearce. It's starting to catch on. And I'm glad it has. Okay, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that he doesn't have the #1 T-shirt selling on WWE's website. It has so far been a success outside of night one. And if you haven't seen Danhausen before, you, like myself, maybe looked at that and was saying how stupid it was. And we still may be right. But with what we saw and have seen backstage, there's something there. And I'm man enough to sit here and say, I didn't expect that. I have been wrong more than I'm right. And I hope Danhausen continues to be a success and continues to grow on people, even myself. Will I ever look at his entrance and say, man, that's just cool. And I know he's not supposed to be cool. That's not what his character is. He is supposed to be a comedic kind of side character that you can get behind. He's undersized. His gimmick is insane. And he's not meant to be taken seriously. But I have been very opposed to comedy in pro wrestling because it's impossibly difficult to do, especially when that's your intent. Organic comedy always is the best, but that happens when you are not trying to make it happen. So I'll leave it there with Danhausen. I am just very glad that it's seemingly working backstage, and I would continue to keep it backstage until the time comes where he needs to be in the ring. And it can't take forever, so maybe they'll push that sooner than later. All right. Well, I'm trying to kind of cherry pick some things here. As I speak right now, it's actually Monday Night Raw happening right now, so I'm a bit behind. I won't even mention Monday Night Raw from last week because we all know what happened. Intercontinental title change, the Danhausen segment, some Punk and Roman Reigns, confrontations again, and I'll leave it at that. And who knows what's going to happen tonight. My Raw review will be tomorrow night. But some other things I guess I want to touch on SmackDown. Randy Orton RKOing Trick Williams was fine with me. I don't find Trick Williams appealing. I don't know if I'm supposed to, but at least they're giving him some main event rub with Randy Orton, despite that Randy Orton is going to look damn near invincible heading into WrestleMania, as he should. He's main eventing WrestleMania. So I don't have an issue with that. We have Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, who are trying to recover from their loss to the Kabuki Warriors after we had Nia Jax and Lash Legend essentially screw them out of the belts. So Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair took on U.S. champion Julia and Kiana James, and they became officially the number one contenders for the women's tag titles. I like that it wasn't automatically assumed that Alexa and Charlotte were going to face Lash Legend and Nia Jax, because to me, it shows the depth of the tag team division. Right? It shows that, hey, wait a second. Why are you skipping everybody in line? There's other people here. So that's really nice to see. And for the first time in the years that the Women's Tag Team Championships have been in existence, this past year was the first time that I have felt that they have taken the Women's Tag Team division seriously. All right. So Sami Zayn showed up and spoke with Cody and with backstage, not in the ring. And there was some boos for Zayn. He said he wasn't trying to get in Cody's head before his big match. And Zayn said it's crazy that the match was even happening to begin with. And Cody asked him what was crazy about it. And Zayn said he let it go when Cody beat him to qualify for the chamber, but Cody lost the chamber. And Zayn said everything falls into Cody's lap. You're getting a second chance. And you know who's not getting one? Me. Cody got upset, and it sounded like Zayn was posturing and politicking for a title match. Zayn yelled that he didn't know how he was going to snake his way into the match, and Zayn said he came to tell Cody good luck, but it turned into, quote, all of this. So Zayn is slowly playing the victim here. He's slowly becoming annoying that he's never won the big one, and he could be a much bigger player as we head into the Cody-Randy match than we think. Now, that doesn't mean that Zayn's going to be added to the match. It just means he's somebody you need to look out for throughout and after the match, because Zayn is on the verge of snapping. The fans are already getting a little bit fed up with his whining. It's happening slowly, and it's something we need to keep an eye on. So, okay, I'm not going to go through everything else here other than because I want to get to emails that I said I would from last week. Oh, the Jade Cargill and Rhea Ripley segment was good. Rhea Ripley seems to be back and not just playing her kind of lovable, happy-go-lucky character with Io Sky. So she seems to be back in business, telling Jade that her body was made for looks and that hers, meaning Rhea's, was made for fighting. That's nice because it's an acknowledgement that Rhea is kind of hammering Jade for her general criticisms that fans have been talking about, and very much including me. I'll be the flag bearer of that. That Jade is a lot of sizzle and no steak. It's a lot of show, but not a lot of performance. And I think that that's something that is fair. It's a fair critique. It's not just, she's not like the new kid on the block anymore. She's been here a couple years. and she's still champion, and it feels a little bit underwhelming, but perhaps this is Jade's big, like, breakout moment. I hope it is. I've been hard on her, but rightfully so. And maybe it's time that we see what Jade's truly made of. Because if she's going to continue to get absolutely hammered in these promos, and Rhea will pound her into the ground, it's going to make Jade look horrible heading into WrestleMania. I don't care how many muscles or how much baby oil she puts on her body. She's going to look this big. So, and I have no problem with that. You either sink or swim here. We're not here to baby people and hold their hand and tuck them into bed. Eventually you got to be pushed from the nest, and you either fly or you plummet down to earth. We'll see which one Jade does. So, again, Miz and Danhausen seem to be an interesting pairing here. The Miz has been a mentor to how many people, though? I mean, Daniel Bryan. Remember, Daniel Bryan was actually the mentor, being mentored by The Miz, and look how that turned out. The Miz has also had Alex Riley. I mean, that was a big flop, but Miz has been a mentor to a lot of different stars over the years. So maybe they'll continue to bring that up, or they won't. But the idea that The Miz is being paired with Danhausen, I'll let it go. I'll see how this rolls. The Miz is, he can kind of be anything you need him to be. And right now, he's doing something with Danhausen, who needs something to do other than bug the general managers of Raw and SmackDown. So, the finish here of the Cody Rhodes Drew McIntyre match is the last thing I'll mention before I get to the emails. We did have Jacob Fatu show up and rip the chair away from McIntyre, who was then rolled up by Cody for a near fall. And, of course, we saw Cody Rhodes win, which we've talked about at the open of the show. What I really want to talk about, though, is Jacob Fatu interfering kind of does solidify that it's likely going to be Drew and Fatu. Now, they could change plans. People are not happy with this decision. I don't care particularly that what about Jacob Fatu? What's he going to do? I don't know. I don't care. I'm sorry. Drew has earned this. This is not just a small step down or a kind of lateral move for Drew at WrestleMania 42. This is a giant fall from grace. You're going to put your champion that was champion 2 days ago, who had a lot of momentum, that people accepted as champion. You're going to take him at the last second, take the belt off him, and then pair him with Jacob Fatu in a match that no one's going to give a shit about. And I'm not trying to disrespect Fatu. I'm sure that this is going to hurt his tummy. And I'm sure if it was up to him, I'd only be saying nice things because everything else seems to offend him or annoy him. But I don't give a shit about that. My point is that Drew deserves much better. We all know it. It's the understatement of the year. Drew deserves a true main event with a true build. And now it's not happening, presumably. Things can always change. They could do their famous pivot. But if this is just a linear story here with Jacob and Drew, I have no interest in it. I don't think the fans are going to take to Fatu either. This is a seismic shift for both the reaction the fans are going to give Fatu and Cody, as I mentioned earlier in the show, and I talked about why that this could be the crossroads, pun intended, I guess, for Cody heading into a heel turn, whether they like it or not. But for Fatu, this match is going to get just destroyed by the fans. Not destroyed in the sense that they're going to boo Drew and Jacob, but what they're going to do is know what happened here and fight on behalf of McIntyre during the match by completely shitting all over Jacob Fatu, because we all know that when it comes to pecking order on the roster, sorry, Jacob Fatu is not even in, I would argue, the top third of who he could work with and should work with, or could make an argument to work with. I have not enjoyed Jacob Fatu's work. I understand that the fans really took to him when he was part of the MFTs or Bloodline 2.0 with Solo. I understand that. He was a breakout star. I'm not going to deny that. He was. But that doesn't mean you need to immediately, once WWE senses it, pull him out and then put him into a singles role. Like, they didn't even let that really build that much. And he's a loose cannon. He can't cut promos. He can't even seemingly speak coherent English. And yeah, take that for what it's worth. I'm sure you people out there, some of you out there are gonna. I know exactly what you're gonna say about that. I don't care. That's not the point. My point is he just objectively, so far from what I've seen, cannot speak clear, fluent, sensical, grammatically correct English. I can't too at times. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I stutter. I repeat words. I have my tics. We all do. But Fatu he's always seemingly on edge about everything. And his character really isn't that dynamic. He's just kind of like a destruction machine that yells a lot. And that's all. Yes, he has the history with Solo, the family bloodline. I get it. But when you take Drew McIntyre, who is a seasoned veteran in his prime, as a champion where he finally captured it, and you're thinking they're going to give him a substantial run of 6 months or more, and they cut him before the 2-month mark, that is bullshit. And the fans are sensing that, and they are going to absolutely demolish Jacob Fatu in this match. If it gets that far and they try to just push it the way it's currently being presumed and presented that it's going to be presumed that it's going to be presented. There we go. So there we go. I will now get to the emails. Let's do that and wrap it up because I know Raw's going on. So I'm trying not to make this an old show, but this is what damn freaking travel does to you. I'm also seeing, oh, good Lord. This is a circus. Can we be done with the masked man thing? Why is Seth even, why is Seth even masking himself? Is he banned from the building? Is he barred from competing? I think he is, right? Is that what the argument is? But if he's barred from the building, why wouldn't security immediately come out with the masked men? There was like 13 masked men in the ring, and it was only one left, and it's Seth. I don't need to see another masked man in my life. I can't believe that they feel that the crowd is just sitting there. You can see them just kind of very uninspired by what they're watching. Seth is an amazing talent, a legendary talent. Dare I say legendary? Maybe. Certainly Hall of Fame worthy. Legendary is another step up, but you could certainly make an argument. Seth doesn't need to hide his identity. Why? What is the masked part of this whole story doing for this whole story? Did I miss something? Was I on vacation too long? Did I have one too many beers? I mean, all of that's probably possible but nonetheless, okay, I'll leave it that, and I'll talk about that tomorrow. I'm sure very, very in glowing terms. Okay, let's get to those emails, and again, I will wrap it up. So let's talk to Darius. He says, "Hey, Matt, I'm honestly not impressed with the Elimination Chamber. That vampire guy in the box looked like the mixture of Kane and the Ultimate Warrior in a cartoon. I'm good with Randy and Rhea winning. I don't mind Cody winning the championship because Cody against Randy is much more interesting in my opinion. I was criticizing WWE the last few weeks because the content has been so bad, but this week's SmackDown has turned things around and there's a bunch of exciting stories going on there. I love the Rhea and Jade segment. She made a fool out of Jade, which was good. That's it. Have a nice day." Thanks, Darius. Yeah, I would agree with the segment about Rhea and Jade. As I just kind of talked about, she's going to bury Jade on the mic. Like, Jade is going to have to learn to cut a promo and cut it quickly, or she's going to be totally neutered, figuratively, of course, before they even get to the match. Rhea is going to expose her. And it's kind of already happened. We all know that Jade just relies heavily and continues to on just how she looks. And Rhea pretty much hit home on that this past week. Again, the vampire guy, Danhausen. Yeah, I know this email was sent March 7th to me. So I've softened on the backstage presentation of Danhausen. I understand it. I get his comedic timing. I understand it. I still don't find his entrance appealing in any form or fashion. It's silly, but all right. Thank you, Darius. Let's talk to Hector. Hector says, greetings from Chihuahua, Mexico. Hope you guys are having nice weather. Interesting. I might have been near you. Just wanted to voice my disappointment in Cody taking the title back right before WrestleMania. You're probably going to get swamped with similar opinions. You think they're going to book Drew versus Jacob in a separate match. Stay safe. Have a good one. I did. And yes, I was in Mexico. It's I got to say, with all the stuff that was going on earlier 2 weeks ago with the cartel and stuff, I mean, you'd never know. Nothing was different. I've been down to Mexico, I don't know how many times, 5 times more, and there was nothing different. Nothing. Doesn't mean that every place is safe. No place has every place safe, but yeah. So as far as the Cody taking back the title right before WrestleMania, you're setting Cody up for failure. You just are, if you're trying to keep him in the role he's in. I talked about that at the top in depth. And you have a guy lose the Chamber, lose the Rumble, and somehow still, it's like now there's 3 paths to WrestleMania if your name is Cody Rhodes. If you can't win the Rumble, don't worry about it. You can't win the Chamber, don't worry about it. The option number 3 is creative will force it to happen. There's a third door if your name's Cody Rhodes. And they're going to regret this, I think. Again, maybe the story will play out where they're just leaning into it, which I would wholeheartedly agree with they do. We'll see. Thanks, Hector. Let's go to Tom. He says, 1 comment and 1 question. For the sake of argument, let's say Cody beats Drew on Friday night, which, I mean, okay, so obviously, guys, this email was sent before SmackDown, so keep that in mind. That's 2 title matches at WrestleMania where it's face against face. I'm not sure that's ever happened before, or even Drew gets a 3-way, or that's 4 out of 5. Roman does show heel tendencies, but he's super over with the fans, and I don't think WWE needs to change him or Punk. They're doing fine. But I hope they do a Cody heel turn on Randy. He needs a character change, and now is as good time as any. But I guess for some reason, Cody has to approve a heel turn, and he won't ever do it. Okay, well, Cody shouldn't have to approve it. He should just be told. I mean, if he's such a, I'll do what's needed, I'll toe the line, I'm a fighting champion, all the typical, just, very, very squishy stuff that he says. He's a company guy. He shouldn't have the ability to approve. He should have input. I agree. And to some, honestly, there should be a level of input that everyone in the company should get. And it should be based on the weighting of that opinion from the talent should be based on merit, and should be based on tenure, should be based on your previous performances, your ability to work with stories that are garbage and make them good. And I mean, it should be taken case by case, but I think everybody should have the ability to weigh in. But if Cody doesn't, I hope that's not true, that Cody has the ability to just nullify a story if he doesn't like it. I hope that's not true. But you're right. Face and face and face and face and face. There are 4 faces in 2 title matches. You're right. That's why I think we're being set up for potentially 2 heel turns. You could have Roman or Punk turn, and you could have Cody or Randy turn. Now, clearly the least interesting version of this is Randy turning heel. Not that he's not a big star or still just somehow incredibly youthful in the ring. Randy turning heel is just, it's kind of like, oh, yeah, that's Randy. It's not very interesting. It's like, okay, he kicked Cody in the balls, or he RKO'd him out of nowhere. He viciously, hit him over the head with a chair or whatever. It's like, that's what Randy does. It's like, okay, that's just who he is. It's like the Big Show turning heel. It's like, oh, okay, just another day. But for Cody to turn would be the biggest out of all of them. Roman turning, we've seen Roman heel, and it'd be newsworthy. Same with Punk. I would label the heel turns, the magnitude of them, as follows. If Cody turns heel, I would say that's number 1. If Punk turns heel, that's number 2, a close second. Roman would be number 3, and Randy Orton's a distant 4th. In terms of just interest of who turns in those matches. And you could also have no one turn and let the crowd just kind of do it for you, because someone's going to turn on somebody. Okay, one more question here. As for my question, when these guys take personal shots at each other like Punk did on Roman's father the other night, are these things scripted beforehand? Like, does Punk ask Roman if it's okay for him to go there? I would hope that it was, because if it wasn't, that would be a real low blow on Punk's part. Just curious. Yeah, look, I'm not backstage, but I've seen enough documentaries and have a sense of the business from, again, as a fan perspective of 30 years of watching it and seeing interviews and all this stuff. I truly believe it was discussed that point was going to be brought up. You can't go through every little thing that comes to your mind that you want to say. I'm sure they don't even know everything they want to say, especially Punk. He's just going to say, hey, this is a big point I'm going to make. Are you cool with it? Because that's a sign of respect, especially for the true bloodline that Roman Reigns represents. The Samoan bloodline, we all know the history of what they have brought to professional wrestling and this respect that they have. Yes, I feel very confident in saying Punk kind of cleared that with Roman Reigns before it was said. And I think as well, Triple H, unless they are the ones that came up with it. I mean, who knows? But either way, I think it was pre-discussed with Roman, yes. Okay, where am I at here? I think we got here. Let's go to Brogan. Brogan? Yeah. I think Danhausen has potential. I don't take wrestling very seriously, and I think he's the funniest wrestler I've seen so far. Again, hey, I shit all over Danhausen, at his debut, and it seems like so far I've been wrong about his presentation. Again, his entrance still is not my favorite, but backstage, he's been a hit so far. And the t-shirt sales reflect that. What can I say? I'm glad Penta won the IC title. He's the best wrestler. I don't even know what it is about him. He's just the best. He's definitely good. It's just a question to me. I don't question Penta's ability. I question the story of where's Dom and Finn. Why did Dom lose the belt to Penta? I mean, they're doing title changes where I think title changes should not be happening. Because we have the Chamber now come and gone. To me, everything here on out should be locked in place of who's champion, but this year is just a weird year, man. My guess for the unconfirmed WrestleMania matches, Rey Mysterio versus Gunther, Natty versus Chelsea, Penta versus Finn versus Dom. Okay. You got Finn and Dom in there. Oba versus Brock. Wait a minute. You have The Rock versus Io Sky. I mean, maybe in 2K26. Anyway, Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa. Also, what happened to Royce Keys / Powerhouse Hobbs? Where did he go? He debuted and hasn't even been shown or mentioned. Did he already get released? No, he hasn't. Well, look what they did with Joe Hendry. He has come and gone how many times? It's just one of those things that they wanted to get him in front of eyeballs, see how the crowd reacts. So when he comes back, the fans go, oh, right. I remember. He was that guy in the Rumble. The Rumble was largely forgettable, though, and pretty much critically panned. But yeah, he hasn't been seen since. And it's just maybe a time to introduce people. It doesn't always have to be that person who's introduced to the crowd then goes on to have a major storyline. They could just be testing the waters, just beginning to show the fans who and what this person is. And I think that's what's happening. All right. we have, what do we have on here? I can't remember if I have gone through this. It's, I don't think I did. Let's go to Chris from DC. He says, I'll do my best not to be long-winded. Have you ever been watching a show and seen something so bad that you almost drop it right there? That's how I felt watching The Chamber when Danhausen the reveal happened. It may sound like I'm exaggerating, but I really almost turned it off. I feel like it was the epitome of what's wrong with WWE today. The segment itself was bad enough, but to go a step further, this entire thing had to be vetted and approved by creative. How did they discuss this and think it would be a good idea? At best, his reveal should have been a one show or 1 week story. And you know what? Throw our truth in there as the mailman trying to deliver it or something. Yeah, that's actually a good idea. But to do this over several weeks, ending at a big PLE on the road to Mania, this is where the shut up and watch view is so ridiculous too. I get it to an extent because as fans, we don't always see the bigger picture, but then they do stuff like this and we're supposed to just accept it. What a joke. The whole segment gave me secondhand embarrassment. You talk about like I'm black, but would have been I would have been visibly red as a tomato had I been watching this with anyone else. Yeah, I mean, it was, and hey, all the compliments that I've given his backstage work so far, and I will stand by that. But I can also say that it was a horrible reveal. Again, they've seemingly kind of tried to find a way to get him attention from the crowd in a positive way, and they've done that. You know, they've done it so far, and I can't sit here and pretend it's not happening. You know, I'm not going to sit here and bullshit you guys. Like the fans are taking to him, and I understand why. So, yeah, the reveal was horrible, though. It'll go down as one of the worst reveals of all time. One of. All right. Yeah, it was bad. Okay, let's go to, and thank you so much, Chris. Let's go one more time here, one more email. And it is, who is this? Oh, Tristan. Tristan says, hey, love the show, love your input. Keep doing what you're doing. I look forward to your shows every week. Your Raw reviews and weekly reviews are spectacular. I'd like to discuss and get your thoughts on 3 matches we need to see. Seth versus Roman at WrestleMania. No title, no outsider interference, just a 1v1 match with a clean finish. With their long history and skills on the mic, the build would be amazing and the match quality itself would be top tier. A moment like this would put an end to a brilliant long rivalry and possibly their careers. Hey, I've been trying to get this match at WrestleMania or even just at a major PLE. I'd love to get this be a consistent rivalry for just a couple months. And we get these teases of one-offs and here and there. It deserves a WrestleMania one-on-one with the depth of their history together. And every time we try, there's a third party that comes in. Like with CM Punk last year. And now, granted, that match was incredible, but the story deserved just those two. I would agree. Do I ever think we'll get a WrestleMania match with Seth and Roman? I would love to think yes. But in my mind, there's always what I'm thinking is WWE is probably thinking there are bigger men that they can work with that they haven't worked with before. All right, Drew McIntyre versus LA Knight for the championship. Once again, the build would be great, and with how solid they both are on the mic, I'm thrilled Drew finally got his title run, and I hope he keeps the title through Mania. Oh my, Tristan. I hate to break it to you. And again, this email was sent last week. Oh, I'm sorry. My condolences. Yeah. Let's continue. He goes on to I see what you're saying. And I hope he continues to keep the title and go on to lose it to LA Knight at SummerSlam. The crowd would lose their minds if Knight finally got the win. And if they wait any longer, creative is wasting away possibly a huge feel-good moment for the audience. I don't know if LA Knight's ever going to get there. I know everything's timing. And I've heard people even comment that, well, the timing is why Drew lost the belt. What do you mean? What do you mean? Drew has been on fire. He reinvented himself and has been arguably the best heel the company's had the last 18 months. You're in WrestleMania season. He finally captures the belt. What are people talking about? It's not great timing for Drew. Why is it better timing for Cody? To me, Cody and Randy doesn't need the belt. I understand that Randy won the Chamber, so he has to be in the title match, but you could have gone different ways here. I would agree with that. Yeah. LA Knight, though, do I think he'll win eventually? That's hard. I'm going to say 50-50. It's a cop-out answer, but it's how I feel. The Demon versus Dom for the IC title. I've been a big fan of Finn Balor since the beginning, and seeing his character destroyed by the Judgment Day is so off-putting. Good to see him in the main event picture again, though. If WWE wants to make a big Mania moment, then, like you say, pull the trigger on Finn and Dom already. But how awesome would it be over the next few weeks if Finn gets attacked by the Judgment Day, JD turns on him and sides with Dom, and he looks to not have a chance to go into Mania. Usually the contender enters before the champion, but I would switch it for just this time. Have Dom come out, Dom, get some heat and continue to build him being a heel. But imagine, Dom's music cuts off, the crowd's waiting for Finn, the lights go out and we hear bum, bum, and the insidious heartbeat, red lights and smoke as Finn surprises everyone by coming out as the Demon. I get chills thinking about it, and the pop from the crowd would be earth-shattering. The crowd would go crazy. I mean, it's been how long? I can't. Yeah, definitely. Why not? This is WrestleMania. You have two guys that have been teasing splitting for about 3 years. Let's go. Yes. You created a WrestleMania moment that's there for the taking. That said, Triple H has run creative into the ground, and I have little expectation from him going forward until we see some change over in the writer's room. Again, great show, and as long as you keep podcasting, you'll always have me as a loyal listener. P.S. If Stone Cold does make an appearance at Mania, does TKO let him come out in a four-wheeler after last year's crash at ringside? Yeah, I don't think so. I forgot about that. The crash that he almost he knocked over a woman in the crowd because he hit the barricade so hard. Oh, man, that was a mess. And Austin missed his entrance up the ramp at WrestleMania. It was a mess. It was a mess. Hilarious, though. It was hilarious. Good God. Well, thank you for listening, and I appreciate it. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch that. But do I think that TKO? No, I actually don't like when he's in the four-wheeler. Just come out. I've never liked the four-wheeler, even when he was the sheriff of Raw and he was the co-GM of Raw with Eric Bischoff. I was never a big fan of the ATV. I was like, dude, just come down to the ring. But I mean, he's my favorite of all time, so he could have, pooped his pants on the way to the ring, and I would have been like, that's cool. We should all start doing that, all right. I'm tired. I'm going off the rails. So I'm done with the emails, but I'm going to check and see if we do have a voicemail or two. I know we do have wait a minute. Hold on. We've got DJ here, and we do have his. Oh, okay. Well, we have an email from DJ, and I thought I only saw the MP3 attachment he sent me, but let's get to DJ. He says, Danhausen's debut was a bit of a letdown. Honestly, I was expecting that mysterious wood crate to be something bigger and probably a returning star or major stipulation. I'm familiar with Danhausen from watching him briefly on Dynamite, and he was mostly used in brief comedic cameos. I didn't understand why WWE or Punk brought him to a chamber, since this is the PLE that is left until the only PLE left until Mania. The whole Danhausen debut was a bit of a 1960s slapstick comedy segment that I didn't understand and I didn't see the point of, since it occurred before the men's chamber. Yeah, the timing of that was just horrible. And are they ever going to learn that when you have masked men or a mystery crate or storylines like a whodunit for weeks, you you gotta have the reveal actually be worth the wait. And every time they've done it, it has been just not worth the wait. I don't know who is coming up with these stories where it's a whodunit type or a mystery this or mystery that, and then they go, well, it'll be it'll be Danhausen. Everyone, what are you talking about? Like, I don't mind if you're gonna have a character like that debut. You're setting him up for failure right off the beginning if you're going to put him right before the men's chamber in a multi-week build of who's in the mystery crate. And then also do it the way you did with just a preposterous reveal. AJ Lee winning the women's IC title. Another WTF moment from this PLE I didn't understand. Why would Creative have this title change when the next PLE is Mania? I would have rather seen AJ win the title at Mania, but even that moment might be a bit of a fleeting moment because I don't know if she's going to be a full-time star in the company or part-time. I don't know either, but apparently they know. I don't know. Did they want to just give her a feel-good moment in Chicago? I'm not sure what the thinking was there either. AJ, so far in the ring, she's surprised me. Physically, she is more than ready, and I give her her flowers. When it comes to on the mic and her personality, there's some work to be done there, especially after the horrific Becky Lynch segments last month. But yeah, I don't understand why they did it. I'm okay with waiting. And instead they decided to move on. I don't know. Randy winning the men's chamber seemed to be the foregone conclusion, since Randy mentioned on an interview on the Pat McAfee show by saying, quote, I know that time is coming. I don't know how many chambers I got. I don't know how many more WrestleManias I got. It does subtly tell you things and makes you wonder how many years that Randy has left and if he'll ever win another major championship in WWE. However, the shift is now to this Friday on SmackDown. Okay, well, I'm just going to skip the rest of yours because obviously none of that happened, DJ. So number 4, Rhea winning the chamber makes sense, since at the moment, outside of possibly Tiffany Stratton, there's no female on the SmackDown roster that could possibly dethrone Jade. There have been some teases of Charlotte and Jade, but I don't think that match will happen since Charlotte is still involved in a tag team with Alexa, and they could be the front runners for the irresistible forces of Nia and Lash. And yeah, you're right, DJ, that's what happened. Plus, ever since joining the main roster in 2021, Rhea has only been a member of the women's roster where at times she flipped over to SmackDown to some appearances and occasional matches. I like Rhea's chances of winning the title against Jade and being the top women's star on SmackDown, but oh man, I miss Bianca. Much prayers for her finger recovery. Me too. Yeah, I have never seen a finger give anyone so much trouble in all of my sports observing life, and that covers football. It covers baseball. This is crazy. I feel for Bianca, but boy, she would fit in this perfectly, wouldn't she? Okay. Seth's return was at times both impactful and very much needed at Chamber to finally get his comeuppance on the Vision. But the question remains, who does he challenge at WrestleMania? Because with no Braun, no Bronson, and no Logan Paul after his recent comments about probably leaving WWE, and probably no Paul Heyman after getting stomped on this past Monday, what is the direction for this somewhat dysfunctional group heading into WrestleMania as it continues to fall apart? Well, Braun Breaker is going to be back probably in a couple months, maybe sooner. Bronson Reed, he'll be out probably more towards early summer, from what I understand. Paul Heyman, he's there. He just got a storyline injury. So, Seth, it better not be Austin Theory, please. We'll obviously get also more information on tonight's Raw. Finally, just an honorable mention from last week's SmackDown when Jay got attacked to the start of the show. Honestly, I hope it's not Jimmy, because I've seen Jimmy and Jay play out 2 years ago. It didn't end well at WrestleMania 40, but the question remains, who attacked Jay? DJ Kuzma signing off. Enjoy NXT Vengeance Day. No Joe Hendry report. So I must have been looking at an old email, DJ. I don't know. I thought I saw your file attached, and maybe my brain did, but all right, cool. Thank you, DJ, so much. And I don't know who attacked Jey Uso. Like you said, I know more about who I don't want it to be. than who I think it is. I also think people are a little bit disenchanted with Jey Uso. So I don't know how much interest there even is there. But just not Jimmy. I concur. Please. Please, please, please. All right. Let's see here. We might have a voicemail, even despite the whole no Joe Hendry report, which I totally understand, DJ. No problem. I do think, yeah, we do. We have one voicemail, so let's get to that and put a bow on this show.
Hi, it's the French guy here, your current European champion. Just finished watched Raw, and I gotta say it was a pretty good show. I'm not super hyped up about the Roman Reigns versus CM Punk feud. I think Roman Reigns will win the World Heavyweight Championship, but they already have kind of a feud last year at WrestleMania, but I expect this WrestleMania to be poorly booked. I expect the match to be good, but the poorly booked storyline-wise, I don't see a storyline to be developed, to be honest, as we speak. I didn't watch SmackDown, obviously, with Thursday, but I don't know. I think the best way we can improve this WrestleMania is having a Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes feud, but yeah, I don't really know. What I wanted to talk about is this past Monday on Raw. I'm kind of a Logan Paul hater, but I gotta say, from the whole perspective of Raw, the most easy heel with the microphone was Logan Paul. He was pretty much very good at the mic, and even better than Austin Theory, which has done that for 10 years or something. Don't get me wrong, Austin Theory is pretty good, but Logan Paul is proving day in and maybe day out that he is becoming a true WWE wrestler. And as much as I don't like the guy, we got to recognize in-ring is good, promo is good. He just has to have a prominent feud, and it will obviously and officially become a true WWE superstar, which is already is, actually. So that's it. Bye, guys.
All right, Alex. Yeah, look, that's kind of what I do here on a regular basis is if you can compartmentalize someone's ability in the ring and respect their progress in the ring and the potential that they have from the person that you think they are in real life, or that they've exposed themselves to truly be, that is, I think, the most objective way to look at somebody, because then you're at least making as much of an effort as you can to compartmentalize those two aspects of the person so you can give a fair assessment of their professional career. Now, again, you could talk about them on a personal level, but it's two different conversations. And who they are as a person outside of wrestling, their belief systems, whatever, should not affect how you view them in the ring to try to be objective. Otherwise, that's called bias. And bias is everywhere. It's impossible to really totally detach them, because we're people, we're human beings. And when we see something that person does or says outside of wrestling that you really don't like or agree with at all, it is difficult to then support them at a professional level. If you ever would attend an event, it's very difficult, because then, because your brain is reminding you, hey, what they're doing in here isn't real. Who they are outside the ring is, and you're still somehow supporting that. And so your brain struggles with it. But, we do the best we can as human beings to try to isolate those two things. But Logan Paul, he's still a star. He's a star, and he continues to evolve in the right direction if you're looking for the next generation of stars. He's got everything, every tool you need, and everything that WWE marketing would want. He's got a massive social media following, which they love. He's athletic. That's an understatement. He is progressing on the mic. He has shown he can perform at high level main event statuses with Roman Reigns. Remember the title match he had with him? He can go. And I have really nothing bad to say about Logan Paul. I mean, he's doing what he's given and doing more. And so Thank you, Alex. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I know, really late. I apologize. I'll be back in the saddle tomorrow with your Raw review, and then everything should be reset. I'm also going to be giving you guys the main event from Daniel. That is in the chamber, ready to be fired out. I just got to get that out. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow morning, a little bit later than usual. But again, we'll get back on track. So everybody, thank you so much. If you want to go ad-free, patreon.com/WWE podcast. Everybody, thanks again, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks for listening to the WWE podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.